Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Well, I mean, it's great to see that members of the government are allowed to use the word innovation again, because for quite some time it was clearly banned over on that side of the parliament. But it's a shame, really, that the debate about innovation seems to be held in a vacuum of understanding about what it really is, and against a backdrop where, according to the Global Innovation Index, Australia has fallen 3 places since 2018, from 20 to 23. It's because the government doesn't understand innovation. Much of the debate about commercialisation that we see coming from the government falls back on some sort of linear model of innovation, and it doesn't appreciate what the evidence says. And it would be worthwhile, members of this chamber, looking to innovation economists like Keith Smith and Jonathan West, who make the point that perhaps the most important result of modern innovation research is a rejection of the so-called linear model of innovation, namely the idea that the innovation process is essentially based on processes of scientific or technological discovery, and that the innovation process consists of translating research into new products. We have a government that is now trying to talk about research commercialisation, but doing so against a backdrop of the massive economic impact to our universities of not just COVID, but this government's ongoing attack on higher education. Its failure to support universities through COVID. Its so-called reforms, which will actually lead to less students studying the sort of subjects that are needed to be innovative researchers and scientists, and most importantly, innovative thinkers. So no matter how many times this government and members of the government now start to use the word innovation, we know that universities are really going to struggle to provide graduates with the skills relevant to today's and tomorrow's labour market under the conditions that this government sets. You know, this government, as a member for Chifley pointed out, has had a number of reviews of the R&D tax incentive, in addition to trying to get rid of the entire thing, mind you. The Innovation and Science Australia review and the review of John Fraser, Alan Finkel and Bill Ferris. And these reviews pointed to what, really, the world has been arguing for some time. Australia has an imbalance between its direct funding of innovation and indirect tax incentives. The independent reviews that the government asked for itself proposed a new agenda which was rejected, which is really modus operandi for this government, isn't it? Got a problem, got an area you don't know what to do with, which is most areas, ask for an independent review and then ignore the recommendations. And the government now has chopped and changed all over the place when it comes to innovation policy and pretend it didn't exist for a while post-Turnbull, and is now possibly even going in the opposite direction. You know, there should be more collaboration between research and industry, but this government hasn't done anything to make that happen. Since the cuts to the innovation programs in the 2014 budget, when industry innovation precincts were cut and rebranded growth centres, when successful commercialisation programs were cut and then rebranded accelerating commercialisation, when Enterprise Connect, which supported the massive SMEs to innovate and adopt, was abolished, there's been a total absence of a coherent industry and innovation policy for this country. And whilst I admire the intent of the member who put this motion forward, to include this government's support for CSIRO is quite frankly mind-boggling. You know, this is a government that sought to destroy the credibility of our National Science Agency, not just with budget cuts, but with long-standing denial of the important work of mitigating climate change. To suggest that this government is a friend of the CSIRO is unbelievable. Other countries invest serious resources in industry and innovation ecosystems, but we aren't doing it properly in Australia. The government is not dealing with the big structural economic shifts to skills and technology, to the clean economy, to the caring economy. We need to do this in order to have an economy that is innovative, sustainable and inclusive. That's the economy that will provide Australians with opportunities in the years ahead, not the economy that this government is working on. And I just want to finally end my contribution with a shout-out to a local innovator and entrepreneur, Nat Stratos, whose jewellery I am wearing today, who uses 3D patterning, zero-waste design, compostable and upgradable materials and a closed-loop program to ensure artefacts, beautiful jewellery, can be reinvented, recycled and regenerated. Her mission is to create circular, responsible and ethical design by innovative technique and a commitment to renewable products, and it's beautiful jewellery as well. That's what manufacturing locally looks like in my community.
Order.